Hello, BookTube. This is the 14th bookcase, excuse me. It's the 14th bookcase. It's the fifth shelf. And it's all but two volumes are the same author. So I'm going to get the two that aren't that author out of the way. Both of them were excellent books. And then that will finish up this 14th bookcase. So the first of these is Blood of Victory, Alan First, a thriller. They have a picture of Mr. First? Yeah, right there. And this is 1939. As the armies of Europe mobilized for war, the British Secret Service undertook operations to impede the exportation of Romanian oil to Germany. They failed. Then, in the autumn of 1940, they tried again. So, World War II type thriller. And then, along the same lines, we have an Inspector Troy thriller. This is John Lawton, second violin. Excellent, excellent story. Have a picture of him? No, we don't. This is Atlantic Monthly Press, New York, 2007. It's a historical espionage volume, and quite good. So that brings us to the author who takes up the rest of the book shelf. And it's a thriller writer. Historical fiction writer. I mean, he's hard to categorize. Well, he's not hard to categorize, but he sort of does both. And that's Wilbur Smith, who I've mentioned on this channel before. And I have not read everything he's written, but I have read quite a bit, and he's excellent. I really enjoy his stuff. So I'm going to start with some of the older stuff. And this is one of those Heinemann Octopus compilation volumes. They're all complete and unabridged novels. And most of everything of his most things take place in South Africa, which is where he's from. So this one has When the Lion Feeds, The Diamond Hunters, Eagle in the Sky, Gold Mine, and Shout at the Devil. It's one of these big, there he is as a young fella. This was, let's see. So Lion Feeds came out in 64, Diamond Hunter 71, Eagle in the Sky 74, Gold Mine 70, Shout at the Devil 68. This edition's from 76, and it's the 7th reprint of 84. So, adventure story. I'll give you some. When the Lions Feed, the lion is Sean, hero of this tremendous drama of pioneers who risked all for gold. The Diamond Hunters, brother, sister, and childhood friend are caught up in a deadly struggle for the world's finest diamonds. Eagle in the Sky, a brilliant jet pilot and his Israeli girl fight to preserve their love from the mutilations of war. Gold Mine, the magnetism of gold dominates every man who comes into contact with it. A brilliant reconstruction of the dangerous life in the mines. Shout at the Devil, hilarious, funny, and violently tragic when the ivory hunting turns into war in 1914. So that's one of those compilation albums of Wilbur Smith. And we have another one right off the bat, again, Heinemann Octopus. And this one has Wild Justice, Cry Wolf, and Sparrow Falls, Wilbur Smith books. And there he is. Let's see, Wild Justice was from 79, Cry Wolf from 76, Sparrow Falls from 77. And this edition was first published in 85. So, Wild Justice's novel of treachery and betrayal, loyalty and courage, hatred and love, the story of ruthless men and beautiful women locked in a vicious power struggle, sweeps across the oceans and continents of the world to its stunning climax in the deserts of Galilee. Cry Wolf is set in Africa, 35 to 36, against a background of arms dealing in armored cars. Two gun runners who dare to flout an international blockade become involved in a daring adventure leading to a violent confrontation among the high mountains of Ethiopia. Sparrow Falls, from the trenches of France in the First World War to the violence of the Johannesburg strikes of the 1920s, Sean Courtney, a family name you'll see throughout his books, or many of his books. A man who has made and lost 5 million pounds in gold, fields of Witwatersrand, journeys home to the serene splendor of the African wilderness. Here, with his trusted companion Mark Anders, who has supplanted his own estranged son, Courtney sets out on a dramatic and relentless search for justice. So, another one of those compilation albums. Now we'll get to some of his regular novels. So here we have Wilbur Smith, Rage. And there he is. And this is Little Brown and Company out of Boston, and it's 1987. It's Shasa Courtney is the character. Let's see, two half-brothers are now ministers in a government dedicated to a vision of some continent in which people of all races would be free to develop and flourish separately. However, both men must confront ugly reality of apartheid in their country's growing isolation and a cynical and hostile world. The world might have had right to be cynical about that situation, I guess. Then here's Wilbur Smith, The Time to Die. This is Guild Publishing, which is like book club edition, I guess, out of London, 1989. And this is Sean Courtney, professional hunter and veteran guerrilla fighter, swept up in savage tides of a new war, caught between two rival armies, between his love for the beautiful woman at his side and his instincts as a trained fighter. Courtney finds himself the captive of a brutal enemy from his past. So another one of the Courtney novels. Then we have three I mentioned previously, and they go together here. I think I got them out of order. Birds of Prey, Monsoon, and Blue Horizon. These are Courtney novels, and they start in the 1600s and work their way forward, and they're epic, sweeping adventures. Just absolutely love them. Then we have a CGI, Best Historical Novelist. I say Wilbur Smith, Stephen King. That's a little blurb from there, but take that for what it's worth. Beautiful end papers. This one is Thomas Dunn Book, St. Martin's Press, New York. And this is first U.S. edition, May 2009. And this is Leon Courtney, an ex-soldier turned professional hunter in the British East Africa. It's 1913 is when it happens. Guides the rich and powerful from America and Europe on big game safaris. Leon had never sought fame, but an expedition alongside U.S. President Theodore Roosevelt has made him one of the most sought-after hunters on the continent. Soon as he finds that with celebrity comes not just wealth, but also danger. Got another one here, The Triumph of the Sun. Again, beautiful end papers. The map there. This is also a Thomas Dunn book, St. Martin's Press, New York, 2005. It's 1884 in the Sudan. Decades of brutal misgovernment by the ruling Egyptian Khedive in Cairo precipitates a bloody rebellion and holy war. The charismatic new religious leader, the Mahdi, or the expected one, has gathered his forces of Arab warlords in preparation for a siege on the city of Khartoum. The British are forced to intervene to protect their national interests and to attempt to rescue the hundreds of British subjects stranded in the city. Along with hundreds of others, British trader and businessman Ryder Courtney, again the name, is trapped in the well, so it goes on. It's about Charles Gordon and all that stuff. So it's a historical thriller. Now these next ones, I want to get these in order. They've sat in the shelf, so who knows. I want to make sure I do these correct. So I think it goes River God first. These are going to be novels of ancient Egypt, and they're wonderful. All right, I'll get them, and it's worth taking a second to do them in order here. So we'll get close anyway. So the first one we know is River God. And there's stories about ancient Egypt. Look at the end papers on this. 1,000 years before Christ, the ancient heartland of the Nile kings stands torn and bleeding from the constant passage of civil war. Drained of gold and the blood of its young men, the legacy of 11 sovereign pharaohs is thrown to the winds of the desert as weak men inherit the crown. On the eve of the festival of Osiris, the loyal subjects of Pharaoh Upper Egypt gather in Thebes to pay homage to their leader. Among them is Taita, eunuch slave to the Lord Intef, and a being blessed with extraordinary gifts. So this is the river god. Here's a map showing ancient Egypt. And this one is 1993. It's a 4-book series, or at least as far as I know, that's as far as they get. So let me see. Nice if they had them listed, but this is the 7th scroll from 95. Here's the end papers. This is a return from the river god with adventure tale, the arrival of the best of Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, or H. Rider Haggard could ever imagine. The 7th, The 7th scroll is an ancient papyrus written by the slave Taita, the hero of river god. It holds the secret to the location of the pharaoh's hidden tomb and his staggering untold wealth. Untouched for thousands of years, the scroll is accidentally discovered and instantly becomes something people will kill to obtain. In a race against an unknown enemy, Royan El-Sima, a beautiful Egyptologist who has deciphered the scrolls, and Nicholas Quinton Harper, an English adventurer, risks his fortune search the Ethiopian highlands for the whereabouts of the pharaoh's treasure. As they close in on the tomb, the brilliant Taita's ancient traps become deadly, while their enemy brings his ruthlessness and power to bear. And then we have Warlock, another novel of ancient Egypt. And again with beautiful end papers. This is Thomas Dunn book, St. Martin's Press, 2001. You have hidden away in the vast and forbidding desert of Africa, Taita has passed the years since the death of his beloved queen, Lustrous, in prayer and study. He has become the warlock, wise in the lore of the ancient gods. Now Taita answers the summons from beyond. He leaves the vastness of the desert and returns to the world of men, only to find himself plunged into a terrible conflict with the forces of evil that threaten the throne and the realm of Egypt. So, we have another one here, and this is The Quest, Wilbur Smith. Wilbur Smith has earned international acclaim with his best-selling River God, The 7th Scroll, and Warlock. Now the unrivaled master adventurer returns with the eagerly awaited sequel to his thrilling Egyptian series and his most fantastic story yet. The Quest continues the story of the warlock Taita, wise in the lore of the gods and a master of magic and supernatural. Egypt has been struck by a series of terrible plagues, killing its crops and crippling its people. Then the ultimate disaster falls the kingdom. The Nile fails. The waters that nourish and sustain the land dry up. So look at those end papers. Thomas Dunn books, St. Martin's Press, New York. And this was first U.S. edition of May 2007. So these are a group of books about ancient Egypt. He has the stories about the Ballantines, the Courtneys. He does a lot of historical type thrillers. That's Wilbur Smith. And then that's the end of that, 14th bookcase. So we're starting to run out of bookcases. We got a few more to go. But thank you, BookTube.